find the language so that the bill addresses only the most serious of injuries. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 22. Measure passes. File items 59 and 60 pass and retain. File item 61, AB 1220. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1220 by Assemblymember Alejo and others, an act relating to land use.
Mr. Alejo.
Madam Speaker and members, AB 1220 amends California housing element law and will help ensure that every city and county does its part to improve the regulatory environment for the construction of new housing in California. AB 1220 fixes this by restoring a 25-year-old component of the housing element law that ensures citizens can hold a local government accountable for deficiencies in its housing plan by correcting an erroneous court decision that rewrote this long-standing enforcement mechanism. This bill is a reintroduction of AB 602, a bill that passed last year with bipartisan support. The bill has the support from the California Association of Realtors, environmental groups like NRDC, and business groups like the Silicon Valley Leadership Group that is comprised of 250 different Silicon Valley executives and firms, and also the Bay Area Council. AB 1220 is a sound and practical way to remove delays that help vital infrastructural projects to be completed quicker, which will undoubtedly benefit all of our districts. I ask for your aye vote here today.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 43, noes 20. Measure passes. File item 62, pass and retain. File item 63, AB 897. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 897 by Assemblymember Hall, an act relating to horse racing.
Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 897 will allow quarter horse racing associations in California to import via satellite all of the races conducted on Texas and Remington Park Pituitary Day. This measure will give California quarter horse racing industry a marketing tool to increase on-track and off-track attendance on this specific day. AB 897 will also provide the industry with a mechanism to increase track commissions, purses, and breeders' awards. There's absolutely no opposition to this bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Harkey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I too rise in strong support of this bill. Our caucus has not offered an opinion on it, but I was in committee. It's a good bill, and we need to support it. Thank you so much.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. Measure passes. File item 64, pass and retain. File item 65, AB 1025. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1025 by Assemblymember Skinner and others, an act relating to bar appliance and making appropriation therefore.
Ms. Skinner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, AB 1025 has simple provisions to clean up our existing statute to make the Board of Pilot Commissioners more efficient. It strikes all references to inland pilots. It allows the Secretary of BT&H to appoint the Assistant Director of the Board of Pilot Commissioners. It improves the ladder safety inspections protocol and has a very minimum fiscal impact because it establishes an exam fee for bar pilot training programs. It passed the Transportation Committee and Appropriations Committee with bipartisan support, and I ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Harkey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Once again, I rise to issue a request for Republican support. This has a none recommendation, but it's a good bill. It does have a fee, but it's a fee that's requested that's used for the purpose intended, and I think we ought to support it. Thank you so much.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 62, no 0. Measure passes. File item 66, AB 1042. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1042 by Assemblymember Allen, act relating to public employees' retirement.
Mr. Allen.
Speaker, members, with this particular bill, what we're doing is that we're establishing a CFO for the public employment retirement system. It enjoys bipartisan support. It will provide for greater internal controls and public accountability and transparency. I urge an aye vote.
Mr. Mansour.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise in support of this bill. CalPERS CFO will improve the management system by enabling a higher level of transparency and internal control. And for these reasons, I voted in support of this bill in the PERS Committee. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or debate, Mr. Allen, you may close.
Yes, it's a good governance bill. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 63, no 0. Measure passes. File item 67, AB 1127. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1127 by Assemblymember Brownlee, an act relating to medicine.
Ms. Brownlee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 1127 is a bill to help reduce documented case delays at the medical board. It would incentivize physicians to participate in investigative interviews by including repeated failure to do so into the definition of unprofessional conduct. This bill will streamline operations of the board and has received bipartisan support. I ask and urge your aye vote today.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, noes 9. Measure passes. File items 68 through 70 pass and retain. File item 71, AB 1255. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1255 by Assemblymember Emmanuel Perez, an act relating to corporations.
Mr. Perez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. As an unprecedented number of baby boomers prepare to retire from the marketplace, many corporate boards will be seeking new members to help shape their business for the future. Corporate leadership has not kept pace with the change in demographics. A serious gap remains in the ethnic and gender diversity on corporate boards. AB 1255 will enhance access to information about the range of minority and or women candidates qualified to serve on these boards. Providing corporations with a more diverse set of talents to fill vacancies will help to keep California businesses creative, innovative, and successful. This bill directs the Secretary of State provide a link on her or his website to the web pages of CalPERS and or CalSTRS, where information on registries of potential qualified candidates for corporate boards, if available, can be found. There's no known opposition, and this bill has had unanimous support in committees. I thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Logue.
Yeah, I also rise in support of this bill, and I want to congratulate Mr. Perez for it. I think it'll be good for business. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. Measure passes. I'm sorry, I inadvertently skipped over file item 70, AB 1182. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1182 by Assemblymember Roger Hernandez, an act relating to CalWorks.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. I present to you AB 1182. AB 1182 would eliminate the vehicle asset limit on CalWorks applicants and recipients, enabling these poor, low-income working families to meet a basic necessity of having a reliable means of transportation to work. The vehicle limit was originally designed to allow families to have a reliable car to get to and from the work and home. In order to be eligible for the CalWorks, an applicant would not have been able to have a vehicle with a value worth more than $4,650. However, that limitation was put forth 15 years ago, quite antiquated. And that's why today less than 1/10 of 1% of CalWorks cases is found to exceed the vehicle limit. This means that repealing the vehicle asset test would have a negligible impact on the general fund. Moreover, it'll do exactly what it's meant to do. Let's get people on the road. We are the state, the highway state. As a matter of fact, by moving this bill forward, we're looking at a saving in the state of $4 million per year, according to the Assembly Appropriations analysis. This bill has no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Fuentes.
I want to rise in strong support of this measure and thank Mr. Hernandez for bringing this bill forward. Under current law, asset limits restrict CalWorks families to one car with a value of $4,650 or less. This situation forces low-income individuals and families to choose between having a car or obtaining needed cash assistance. This bill eliminates the vehicle asset limit on CalWORKs applicants and recipients so that low-income families can have a realistic chance of finding and keeping a job. The bill will save the state $3 million a year in administrative savings because caseworkers will no longer have to spend their limited time determining the worth of vehicles. Members, current vehicle limits are counterproductive. Research indicates that one common barrier CalWORKs recipients face when finding and maintaining work is lack of reliable transportation. If you expect a CalWORKs recipient who lives in Elk Grove and works in West Sacramento to maintain his or her job, they need a reliable vehicle. This measure would eliminate the threshold of the $4,650. This bill is a long overdue step towards making the threshold for vehicle ownership among CalWORKs recipients more rational and reasonable. The bill is about increasing work participation, financial responsibility, and I strongly urge your aye vote.
Mr. Lara.
Madam Speaker and members, I rise in support of AB 1182 and also thank Mr. Hernandez for bringing this important bill forward. Reliable transportation for work is critical for any person. AB 1182 will increase the state's work participation rate by increasing the opportunities for CalWORKs recipients to find and maintain stable employment. This bill is an important step forward to reducing the barriers to CalWORKs eligibility and increasing access to those who are really in need. My district has one of the highest number of CalWORKs recipients in California. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on this important measure. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Members, I regrettably rise in opposition to this bill. While it has many good points in it, and I do agree with raising the test for vehicle value, I do not agree with removing it completely, so I respectfully ask for a no vote.
Mr. Perez.
I also rise in support of this measure and thank the author for bringing this forth. Quite frankly, for rural areas, this is very much an important issue. We need to make sure that folks do have access to transportation, and many times in rural areas, public transportation just doesn't even exist. I can say that for a fact, at least in the east side of Riverside County, that being a factor. And so obviously this would be very helpful, keep people working, keep the economy growing, and it'll allow us to recover much more smoother and quicker.
Mr. Jeffries.
I rise in support of the bill. On the west side of Riverside County, we have the longest commute time in the nation. And if you want a job, you got to have a reliable car. Now, I agree that there should be some sort of cap because I don't think you want recipients driving around in the latest, greatest brand new automobile because that just raises the level of public distrust of the program. So I think the author should look at amendments as this bill moves forward in trying to have some cap up there so there's not a ridiculous abuse of it. But nonetheless, you can't have a job unless you have reliable transportation. Our goal in this body should be to encourage every Californian who wants a job to be able to get out there and find a job in California and turn California around so that people can find work here. And so I support this bill.
Seeing no further questions or debate, Mr. Hernandez, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I respectfully urge an aye vote.
Okay. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 52, noes 14. Measure passes. Okay, we're going to take one item out of order. File item 78, AB 135. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 135 by Assemblymember Hagman and others, an act relating to air pollution.
Mr. Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, this is a simple bill that does not add a member, but makes one of the 11 board members from the California Air Resource Board to be a small business owner. The bill would require it passed out of Natural Resources Committee with 9-0 vote. AB 135 enhance the quality and increase the representation on the Air Resource Board. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Valadeo.
I also rise in support of this bill. I think for the unemployment numbers the way we have them today, we have to take into account the perspective of a business owner in the state of California and a regulatory agency, and look forward to having a business owner there. So I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 64, no 0. Measure passes. File item 72, AB 1384. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1384 by Assemblymember Bradford, an act relating to expungement record standards.
Mr. Bradford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 1384 corrects an inconsistency in California's expungement process by allowing qualified individuals who have demonstrated their rehabilitation to seek an expungement under judicial discretion. Accordingly, this bill provides a second chance to individuals who may have misstepped following release but over time have demonstrated their rehabilitation. AB 1384 it has broad-based coalition support from a variety of groups, including the East Bay Community Law Center, California Public Defenders Association, AFSCME, just to name a few. Madam Speaker and members, California leads the nation with recidivism with over 70%. To reduce recidivism and overcrowding in our jails and our prisons, we must give people with prior convictions a meaningful opportunity to reintegrate into society. This bill provides job seekers with that opportunity. Members, these individuals are our family members, our friends, but most importantly, they are our constituents. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 20. Measure passes. File item 73, AB 1409. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1409 by the Assembly Committee on Jobs, Economic Development, and the Economy, an act relating to economic development.
Mr. V. Manuel Perez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, AB 1409 is a committee bill that requires a state trade strategy to be updated to include the policy goals, objectives, and recommendations adopted in the Goods Movement Action Plan that the Secretary of the Business, Housing, and Transportation Agency deems appropriate. The purpose of the GMAP, also the Goods Movement Action Plan, is to improve and expand California's goods movement industry and infrastructure in a manner which will generate jobs, increase mobility, and reduce traffic congestion, improve air quality, and protect public health, enhance port safety, and improve people's quality of life. The next strategy update is due by February 1st, 2013. According to the Assembly Appropriations Committee, BTNH is able to update the state trade strategy within existing resources. There is no known opposition to this bill, and it's received unanimous support, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. Measure passes. File item 74, pass and retain. File item 75, pass temporarily. File item 76, pass and retain. File item 77, AB 75. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 75 by Assemblymember Hill, an act relating to documents.
Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to present an important fraud prevention bill. AB 75 will protect consumers by closing significant loopholes and eliminating methods of abuse with respect to notary services and misleading solicitations. Existing law provides only limited protection against fraudulent or deceptive business solicitations and mailings that imply official government status. Deceptive solicitors follow the letter of the law by including a disclosure statement but violate the spirit of the law by burying it deep within the fine print. Many of these advertisements look official and appear to be from the state of California. These solicitations often contain threats of penalties, fines, and suspension, and instructions to remit payment immediately. AB 75 will address these deceptive solicitations by requiring disclosure of non-governmental status at the top of the first page of the solicitation to avoid any deception, intentional or otherwise. Additionally, AB 75 closes glaring loopholes associated with the services performed by notaries by providing the Secretary of State with the discretion to refuse to authenticate a document that is clearly intended to be used for fraudulent purposes. In closing, AB 75 is an important step to limit the potential for document fraud by closing significant loopholes in law. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, members.
Ms. Harkey.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Republican members, this has an oppose on our on our agenda. However, it was unanimously approved in committees, and I recommend an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 59, noes 2. Measure passes. File items 79 through 83 pass and retain. File item 84, AB 320. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 320 by Assemblymember Hill, an act relating to the environment.
Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That was quick. Members, AB 320 clarifies that the real party in interest named in a California Environmental Quality Act lawsuit are those listed by the lead agency as recipients of approval in the agency's notice of exemption or notice of determination. Currently, CEQA lawyers petitioning against CEQA approvals overname and serve parties who are unlikely to be considered indispensable in order to ensure their petition isn't thrown out. This practice is a waste of time and money for everyone involved. By requiring lead agencies to list the recipients of approval, AB 320 clarifies who must be named in a lawsuit and thereby prevents other agencies and businesses from being unnecessarily dragged into that suit. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, members.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 44, noes 23. The measure passes. File items 85 through 88 pass and retain. File item 89, AB 398. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 398 by Assemblymember Morel, an act relating to fire protection.
Mr. Morel.
Maybe. Madam Speaker and members, I rise today to present...
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes,
sorry about that. I apologize. That was bad. I rise today to present AB 398, an important measure to get our servicemen and women back to work. Military service members who have served the armed forces in the area of fire protection have received extensive training from the Department of Defense under the Fire and Emergency Services Certification Program. These servicemen and women are excellent candidates to serve as California fire protection personnel, and it is to our attention to ease some of their burden in their search for employment. AB 398 would allow the State Fire Marshal to accept certification by the DoD as equivalent training to Firefighter 1, which is the basic certification required for a firefighter in the state of California. Consequently, this bill allows well-qualified individuals to begin serving and protecting our state from the devastating fires that affect us annually. This measure has had bipartisan support and has received no votes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Harkey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Is this your first, or a question of the author?
Without objection.
Is this your first bill, Mr. Murray?
No, but it's the first bill to reach the floor.
All right. So we see that he's trying to hide something here. What else is included in this bill that we might not know?
You know, the only thing it does is helps create jobs for vets and saves the taxpayers money.
Is this a veterinarian bill?
No, it's not a veterinarian bill. It's for our veterans who have returned from overseas.
Are you opposed to veterinarians?
No, we could add them on at a later date if you'd like, but...
if they have firefighting skills, right?
Only if they have firefighting skills.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Come on.
Permission to ask a question to the author.
Without objection.
Mr. Morel, could you please explain what it takes to become certified as a military firefighter?
I could probably do that. But I know everyone wants to get out of here and get to the airport.
Good answer.
All right. Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 72, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 91, AB 431. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 431 by Assemblymember Mon, act relating to accountancy and make an appropriation therefore.
Ms. Ma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 431 will create a retired designation for certified public accountants through the California Board of Accountancy. Currently, when a CPA or PA wants to retire, the licensee has two choices: either pay the state to maintain an inactive license, which costs the same as an active license, or cancel or surrender their license. Accountants who have practiced for many years are very proud of their profession and believe a delinquent, canceled, or surrendered status is undignified and want to avoid it. However, many retired licensees who simply want to stop paying for the active/inactive license fee have no choice. AB 431 has received unanimous bipartisan support with only aye votes. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 68, no 0. The measure passes. We're going to now move to motions and resolutions. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, members, I request unanimous consent to allow Assemblyman Calderon to have a guest seated at his desk.
Without objection. All right, we're going to go back to third reading, Assembly third reading, file items 92 through 94, pass and retain. File item 95, AB 536. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 536 by Assemblymember Mon, act relating to physicians and surgeons.
Ms. Ma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm pleased to present AB 536, a bill that will require the Medical Board of California to remove from its public website any court-expunged misdemeanors or felony convictions within 90 days of the receiving a certified copy of the court expungement order from the licensees. This bill ensures consumers have the most accurate and complete information on their physicians when they are seeking information from the Medical Board of California's website. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 62, noes 3. The measure passes. Members, if you could please join me in joining Assembly Majority Leader Calderon's wife, who is seated at his desk.
File item 96, pass and retain. File item 97, AB 597. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 597 by Assemblymember Egan, act relating to financial literacy.
Mr. Eng.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 597 establishes the California Financial Literacy Fund. Sponsored by the State Controller, this will provide a central funding source for organizations that want to partner with California on its financial literacy efforts. This bill creates a pathway to achieving best practices for financial literacy in California. This bill has received bipartisan support and no opposed votes. Respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 70, noes 0. Measure passes. We're going to go back to take one last item up, and then we're going to do the consent calendar and adjourn in memories. File item 75 on the amendments, AB 22. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 22 with amendments by Assemblymember Mendoza.
Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm here to present AB 22, which is they're just basic amendments to the credit check bill that we use. This amendment basically defines consumer credit report and explains, for the purpose of this section, what a managerial position is, and also adds a few co-authors, and just respectfully ask for a aye vote on the amendments.
Seeing no further questions or debate, we can take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Out to print and back on file. Okay, members, we are at the consent calendar. Second day consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the second day consent calendar? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 619 by Assemblymember Halderman, an act relating to massage therapy.
Clerk will open the roll. On the consent calendar, all members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 66, no 0.
Assembly Bill 1279.
Can we just do the consent calendar after, Tim? Okay, we'll dispense with the consent calendar after we complete today's schedule. Mr. Calderon. Return to motions and resolutions. Mr. Calderon.
Yes, Madam Speaker, members. Pursuant to Rule 97, I request unanimous consent to refer file item 45 AB 1090 by Mr. Blumenfield from the third reading to the Appropriations Committee.
Without objection? Okay, we will go to request to adjourn in memory. The following members were granted permission today: Mr. Alejo, Mr. Bell, Mr. Gordon, and Ms. Small. Mr. Alejo.
Members, it is with a heavy heart that I respectfully request that we adjourn in memory today of Ignacio Nacho Mocino, a respected former colleague of mine at California Rural Legal Assistance, a dear friend, a mentor, a Vietnam veteran, and a tireless advocate for California's poor. Ignacio dedicated 27 years at California Rural Legal Assistance, where he was a devoted community worker and a committed legal servant serving the rural poor. A man with great integrity, it was not rare to see Ignacio in the field speaking to farm workers about their labor and worker safety rights. Ignacio had a gift for communicating with the workers and gaining their trust. His sincere caring for the well-being of the workers and their families, and his passion with which he advocated on their behalf in various administrative and legal forums was something I tried to emulate as a young attorney. Ignacio was recognized as a statewide expert on public benefits and wage claims. In every aspect of his work, he demonstrated the highest level of professionalism and incomparable work ethic. Even during some of his most challenging personal moments, Ignacio put the needs of his clients and his commitment to ensuring justice is made accessible to California's rural poor before his own needs. Through his community outreach, education efforts, and zealous advocacy on behalf of farm workers, Ignacio increased rural poor clients' access to legal services. Ignacio was not only dedicated to his clients, but also dedicated to serve as a mentor to countless numbers of new attorneys such as myself. He taught me invaluable skills that I will utilize for the rest of my life. I am honored to have the privilege of working alongside Ignacio Mocino, a person that gave so much of himself for others until his last days. He will truly be missed. Te vamos a echar menos, compañero. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Madam Speaker and members, I ask we adjourn today in memory of Pearl Caldwell. Now, she passed away at a very young age of 93. Pearl was a teacher's assistant who worked many years in our community with developmentally disabled children. She was a strong and dedicated advocate also for seniors and developmentally disabled adults. She was highly commended and recognized for her work with many organizations, including our Council of Aging, Older Women's League, Forum, League of Women Voters, AARP, Congress of Seniors, and a member of the Santa Clara County Senior Care Commission. Now, one of the reasons she was so admired in our community was she was very good at bossing me around and other elected officials around. And I remember one time she got really angry at me one time, and she started calling me Tommy. Well, the only person that calls me Tommy is my mother. And Auntie Pearl found out about that, so to get me to do something, she started calling me Tommy, because that's my nickname. And I ended up doing exactly what she wanted me to do. So Pearl is survived by her son Ed, Brian, the daughters Betsy and Ellen, daughter-in-law Debbie, and 3 grandchildren, Josh, Alyssa, and Brianna. And I'd like to adjourn in her memory, a great advocate for developmentally disabled individuals in our community and seniors, Pearl Caldwell. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to request that we adjourn in memory of Omar Ahmad, the mayor of the city of San Carlos. He died on Tuesday morning at the age of 46 of a heart attack. Mr. Ahmad was born in Ohio, attended the University of Florida, where he majored in material science engineering. He spent several years in Washington, D.C. with the Discovery Channel, and in 1998 he moved to California. He became heavily involved in Silicon Valley ventures, including companies like At Home, Netscape, and Napster. He recently co-founded Sync Energy, which converts greenhouse gas to high-octane gasoline. He was elected to the San Carlos City Council in 2007 and became mayor in 2010. He said, "Being on the City Council is like being at a party, and we are the piñata." His sense of humor served him well, and he served his constituents well. He also served on the board of directors of the local transit agency and the Caltrain Joint Powers Board. He was a photographer, a pilot, a mountaineer who had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And he is survived by his parents in Florida, 2 sisters, and a brother. Mr. Ahmad also brought to our community a new understanding and awareness of diversity. He was the second Muslim ever to have been elected as a mayor of a United States city, and he will be greatly missed in our community. I respectfully request that we adjourn in memory of a great citizen, Omar Ahmad.
Ms. Lowenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's with great sadness that I provide this adjournment in memory of our colleague's father, Betsy Butler's dad. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about him, and then I think we could see the great strength that Betsy has comes from this man. Harry passed away, Harry Butler, after a 16-year battle with Alzheimer's disease. He leaves his beloved wife of 50 years, Peg, many of us have met her on the floor, and his daughters, Mary Catherine, Lynn Hunter, and our own Betsy, whose name is Elizabeth Virginia Butler, as well as his sister, many nieces and nephews. He was born in Coronado, California in 1928, enlisted in the Army Air Corps at age 19, serving in Guam, March Air Force Base in California, and at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. As Butler often said, thanks to God and the GI Bill, he was able to attend Weber Junior College in Utah, transferring to Cornell University in New York, where he graduated in 1954 with a degree in industrial and labor relations and a commission as second lieutenant in the Air Force Reserves. While staying active in the reserves for almost 40 years, Butler worked in the financial arena in San Francisco at the Crocker Anglo Bank and at many of their branches in the Sacramento area. He continued in management at the Bank of Sacramento and Security Pacific as a manager and assistant president at various branches throughout the area. He retired from banking in 1975. Here's the important part. Butler was dedicated to serving our country and proved his commitment when, after reaching the time limit in his slot as lieutenant colonel, he resigned his commission and re-enlisted the next day as a sergeant. He continued his service with the 940th Air Refueling Group and the 4th Air Force at McClellan Air Base until reaching the military mandatory retirement age of 60. For many years, he and his Air Force friends became avid Space A travelers, and he covered many spots he hadn't visited during his tours of duty. The flag of the United States flew every day at the Butler's home in Carmichael until he was no longer able to carry out this assignment. We offer our condolences to you, Betsy, and your family.
Thank you, Ms. Lowenthal. Ms. Ma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It is with great sadness that I rise to adjourn in memory of Kate Bray Guiney, who passed away April 18th after an extremely courageous 8-year battle with cancer. She was a fourth-generation San Franciscan, grew up in Millbrae, and attended Mercy High School in Burlingame. She went to Chico State College for Nursing and Pepperdine University, where she received her MBA and began her career in 1970 as a staff nurse at Stanford University, where immediately everyone around her knew that she had a truly special passion to make this her life's main calling. She spent the last 20 years at Kaiser Permanente in Oakland, retiring as chief nurse recruiter for Kaiser Northern California, where she devoted her energies to RN recruitment, retention, and workforce planning. Kate also truly loved to sing and was an avid participant in the San Francisco Sound Wave Chorus of Sweet Adelines International. She motivated everyone around her to focus on their passions in life and truly be thankful for love, family, and friends. Through her experience, she learned to live life to the fullest, and this was conveyed through her favorite phrase, "Remember, life is not a dress rehearsal." This is a lesson I feel should be an inspiration to us all, and I thank that we adjourn in her memory.
Thank you. So members, please bring those names to the desk so that they are printed in the journal. Session schedule is as follows. Friday, May 13, there is no check-in session and no session. Monday, May 16, we have session at 12 noon. All other items remaining shall be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Calderon moves, Mr. Allen seconds, that this House stand adjourned until Monday, May 16th at 12 noon. Quorum call is lifted. Clerk will read on the consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 1279.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1357.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1412.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 655.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 480.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1426.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1427.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1029.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1066 with urge.
I-66 on the urgency. I-66, no zero on the urgency. I-66, no zero on the matter.
Assembly Bill 1091.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1105.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1129.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1163.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1168.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1186.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1267.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1272.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1297.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1390.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1395.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 1414.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 573.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 611.
I-66, no zero.
Assembly Bill 657.
I-66.